John Ross was carted off the field and had to leave practice early today. Moro Jomo is showing flashes. Nice to hear. And should we be concerned about Will Shipley and pass protection, man? We're about to talk about all that. I'm Wesley. You're watching Beast on Broad Street.
Yeah, reporting live from the underworld, coming from a place that's never been unearthed. How much is your soul? Tell me what it's worth. Do you put your pride or money first?
All right, so day 9, a humid day 9 of Eagles training camp is officially in the books. Now, before we get into it, I want to go over this injury update real quick. So we still have Oren Burks out, did not practice, dealing with his knee. Unfortunately, Paris Campbell also is still out dealing with that groin injury. Hopefully that does not linger on for too much longer. It'd be nice to see him get back to it. So we had CJ Gardner-Johnson not practice today with dealing with his shoulder. It does not appear to be a serious injury, so that's nice to hear. Seems more of a precautionary measure. Mekhi Garner out dealing with his hamstring, and Brandon Smith still out dealing with that concussion. Now, limited guys. Cam Jurgens was limited today. Tyler Steen was limited, but he did participate in team drills, which was nice to hear. Did give us a little insight as to who they had starting at that guard position today. And Austin Watkins was limited as well. Now, let's get into it. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of all this. So, on offense, Jalen Hurts still had a great day. There was this. Now, this is kind of so. Elliott Shore-Parks was he was released this thing like Jalen Hurts about to break this like passing record. Just not throwing a pick, just a training camp record, which I don't particularly care about, but it is nice to know that our QB1 is lighting it up. But we didn't really hear much. He was about to break the record. I think it was like 7 passes or something like that away from breaking the record. And then we just did not hear anything else. But come to find out, that was a result of today's practice on offense. Just was a lot of running the football, not so much focused on passing. But as far as passing the ball goes, and Jalen Hurts, he's still trying to fit the ball into these tight windows, and is successful doing it. So he's still willing to take the risk, especially in practice, because why not? He's going to protect the ball. That's going to be a point of emphasis. But it's still nice to know that he's still trying. Is still aggressive, still willing to stretch the ball down the field, fit in these tight windows, etc. So, that's just nice to hear. But yeah, as far as passing the ball, just wasn't a lot of action. So there's not really much to report on as far as receivers go. But it is what it is. It's just kind of a quiet day of practice in general. I do want to talk about this whole John Ross situation we got going on. I guess he was carted off the field, left practice early today. Let's hope he's all right, man. That's just unfortunate because he's one of those guys where it's like that kind of like that redemption story. He's trying to revitalize his career. He had retired, came back out of retirement, and is now with us. So, and he's also, he's a weapon. Like he still has speed. So just unfortunate, man, to hear that he was carted off the field. I don't think anyone has any more information on that injury aside from the fact that he was carted off, which is typically not a good sign unless it was a cramp. Hopefully it was just like a cramp, like a calf cramp or something, because anyone who's getting those calf cramps, man, that was no joke. Hopefully it was something more like that where they were just precaution. It was more precaution, just carting him off the field. But he did not come back to practice. So that, I don't really like that. But again, man, we just hope that he gets better. Never want to hear anything, and that goes for any team. Just injuries are they suck, man. So it is what it is, though. Part of the game. Now, so Tyler Steen, and this was kind of something that we've been waiting for. So Tyler Steen, he had already came back yesterday for practice, padded up, but he did not participate in team drills yesterday. Today he did. And it was something that, I was kind of looking forward to, amongst others, of who are they going to start at guard with Steen back in team drills? Who are they going to start at guard, Becton or Steen? Turns out Becton was the guy starting at, doing these first, starting with the first team offense at right guard. Which kind of like, I don't know. So, and again, I know I keep harping on this, but it's like it kind of goes in my point. It's like, man, I think Mekhi Becton is gonna. It's his job to. I just think he's gonna end up starting at that guard position this season. As much as like I'm sure I'm sure our coaches want him to, or they want Tyler Steen to start at right guard, so Becton can kind of be that versatile. Versatile guard tackle and just kind of pop in where they need him to. I'm sure that, like, honestly, that's what I want as well. Um, and I'm sure they want that. It just makes sense, especially with a young Tyler Steen, who, kind of had it when he did play last season. It was, just was kind of disappointing, just wasn't ready. We kind of, I want to see Steen win that job as much as anyone else, but I genuinely think Becton's just the right guy for it. I think it's his job to lose right now. But we'll know more about that in the coming, well, really, I guess tomorrow. If it's still Becton starting, then that, in my opinion, it's going to be Becton's job to lose. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it was Becton today, starting first team reps. So let's hope Steen can, still kind of he's still going to compete, but let's hope he can. I do want Steen to win, but I just think it's going to be Becton. Moving on from that though, so like I said earlier, CJ Gardner Johnson did not practice today. He was out dealing with a shoulder injury, which was not too serious, but starting at the safety position, I thought this was kind of interesting. We had Maddox and Blankenship, and we haven't really talked about Maddox, mostly because it's what's to talk about. He hasn't really made any splash plays in training camp or anything like that. But he got the start at first team, with the first team defense. Excuse me, this practice, but he at the same time they did rotate a lot of guys around. Now the thing with Maddox, so I like Maddox, and this is how I expect them to use Maddox, but this is how, and also how I would want them to use Maddox. I think he's just more of like that. I think he'll just be a backup. Woo! Yeah, damn. Excuse me. Um, I think I think Avante Maddox is going to be more of like just that, just backup defensive back, whether you need him at corner, at safety. I think that's, I think he'll mostly just be a backup safety throughout the season, realistically speaking. One, because it limits him. He's already injury prone, and I think him just kind of like limiting the amount or limiting the exposure that he gets limiting the exposure to injury. I think that's kind of the smart way to play it this season. I just don't want. He's not going to start. He's just not healthy enough. Like he's just too injury prone to like rely on. So I think having him be a backup safety is the move. And like again, they were rotating guys, and we still got Bradbury taking safety reps. I don't. The Vontae Maddox and James Bradbury thing are just kind of like what are we doing with them? Like it's just more so James Bradbury. I don't mind Avante Maddox as that backup safety, but James Bradbury is like he's kind of like he hasn't been awful in camp. It's not like he's someone like you're hearing that's just like struggling. But at the same time, it's like if he's at safety, you're really gonna rely on him to have to tackle. And not that he's the worst or historically the worst guy, like for who can't tackle, but last season was a hard watch. But he's owned it. So like, I don't you can't really like you gotta respect that. He's owned it. He had a bad season and he kind of knows where he is right now. And he's just doing what he can. So the question is whether or not he's even going to be on the team this season, and I actually think that I kind of lean towards he is going to be on the team. Just again, kind of like Avante Maddox, just kind of being like just a backup DB when you need him. Like if someone goes down or a couple guys go down, it might be good to have James Bradbury. I know that's kind of like not someone you want to rely on after last season, but at the same time, it's nice to have a veteran presence in the locker room, especially with that DB group who are mostly young guys. Um, and it's just like, like last season he took a major step back, but at the same time, it's like he might, he's probably hungry to show like, look, this not me. I still have this in me. So, you might want to keep a guy like that just as like a platoon man in a way. Like you might need him. Like you might need in like who you don't know who's going to be available if guys go down. You don't know if you're going to have someone with Bradbury's experience available, really, especially who is familiar with this team and this defense, which I'm sure a lot of the guys are still learning. But just a veteran, just to have in the locker room. But it's kind of where I'm at with that. So the safety situation was more of is just a lot of rotation today. We had Quinion again starting with the first team defense at nickel, which Quinion Mitchell's going to start. It is like, let's be real here, man. Like with DeJean not really, like he's not practicing, or at least he's not taking like actual physical reps in practice right now. It's like you're going to need Quinion to start. Like I'm sure Isaiah Rodgers will start opposite of Slay, or maybe he'll start nickel. I just think Quinion might end up like, look, if he's gonna make plays at nickel, maybe we should just have him there for now, because I don't think any of us thought he could even play a nickel cornerback to that extent. But if he's successful at it, why not, man? I just think we got to get him out there. I don't think you want him sitting around redshirting. I don't think he's the guy you want to redshirt. I think he's a guy like, yo, get him out there. Let's see what he's made of, And I think that's only going to be beneficial to him and the team in general. So that's where I'm at with Quinion right now. Other than that, it's not, like I said, it was kind of a slow day. So it was more of the same, first and foremost. And there wasn't really any like big plays that we need to talk about, anything crazy going on. Now, there was Sean Stevens. So our last practice, Sean Stevens was able to pick off Tanner McKee. I think it was off a tip the last practice. This practice ended with the same. He picked off Tanner McKee again. And if you know anything about Sean Stevens, which not a lot of people do, Sean Stevens, he was a JUCO guy. He did I think his last 2 years of college, like he was balling, man. Like he had, I think 15, 16 picks, something absurd. Like they were like, with his last 2 years combined, he balled out. So he in training camp, just it's nice to hear that he's still like, he's making plays, and he's got two of the three interceptions of this whole training camp. So hey, kudos and credit to Sean Stevens, because it's not easy. And now I don't think he's going to be a big player as far he just might be fighting for a practice squad spot. So it's just nice to hear. I like hearing guys trying. It's just interesting story. So just something to follow. So yeah, Sean Stevens picked off McKee again. And as far as McKee goes, I'm sure he's kind of annoyed because one, Kenny Pickett's struggling, and we don't want McKee struggling too. I still think McKee might be having a better camp than Pickett, and I think we're really gonna see what happens in these preseason games. So just something to keep your eye on. Now, Moro Jomo, I guess, right? Moro Jomo was making splash plays, now with a grain of salt, because it was against the second team offense, which has been struggling. But he did make some plays. So he had a sack and he had a tackle for a loss on Will Shipley. So that's more like, and then like I mentioned, I was talking about our interior pass rush the last video. Moro Ojomo is a guy who you're gonna want to watch this preseason. Him, Tui Pelotu, and Milton Williams are guys who are like I just think are going to do damage, and they're just kind of overlooked right now because we all want to focus on a young Jordan Davis and a young Jalen Carter. It's easy to just kind of be like, let's put all our focus on them. But Milton Williams, Ojomo and Tui Pelotu, like these guys are going to be be effective and they're going to make their names known. So um, I really want that to be, I guess, I don't know, a point of emphasis, like that the defensive line, especially interior linemen, like the depth there, while it might be a little slim this season, I also think the guys that we do have backing up or just in that rotation, I think that they are like they're legit guys, man. Like it's not like they're no scrubs and they're no slouches. So something to keep your eye on, man. So it's just nice to hear more of Jomo doing his thing. Happy to hear it. So just as far as like the passers go, I'm talking about more of like an offensive standpoint. The pass protection, running backs block. Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about running backs and pass protection real quick. Now, Saquon Barkley is amazing. Is an amazing um, blocker in or he can pick up a blitz and he's just good to have in pass protection. This is why Saquon Barkley is an elite talent. Like in an interview he just had, Saquon Barkley was talking about how I think the question was how do you deal with potentially not getting as many carries in certain games where it might be more relied on in the passing game. How do you handle that? And it was just a great like team player response. He mentioned like he's not worried about how many carries he gets. He wants the team to win. And one thing he stated that I loved hearing was that it's not like if you actually mean like if you're about your team winning and being a team player and you want to win the ultimate goal of a Super Bowl, you have to be able to just do what the team needs of you. It might not be you getting the ball. You might not be the guy that game. And you have to not just be able to be ready to handle that. You have to mean it too. Like a lot of guys are going to say, oh, like, nah, no, it's not a big deal. I can handle not getting carries, but deep down, like they're really going to actually be upset about, not getting their share. Saquon made a good point of like you actually have to mean that. Like you actually have to be that guy who if he has to pass block and he has to just be in pass protection for majority of the game, he's going to do that and he wants to excel at that. Now, that's the difference. That right there is the difference of an elite level talent at running back and just some guy who's, gifted, talented, can do his thing when he gets the ball in his hands in open space. That's the difference. And that's why it's nice to have a Saquon Barkley on your team. He's not just like a free agent pickup who's talented and you're excited to see what he can do with the ball in his hands. It's going to be the games where you don't hear his name called a lot. It's going to be those games where he's picking up a blitz and putting his helmet in he's putting his shoulder into someone's chest. He's getting his pads on a linebacker who coming through the gaps. Those are the games that you're going to need from Saquon. And it's just nice to have someone who's already preparing himself for that. That's just something that gets me excited. So I'm glad to hear that. And that was just it was just nice to hear in that interview him saying that I really like where Saquon is right now. I actually he's genuinely excited to be on this team. He's excited about being in Philadelphia. He knows the culture that is Philadelphia. One, being on those blue guys over there. He knows what this is over here. He knows how serious we take this. He knows that people are, you mess up, we're gonna see it. And not only are we gonna see it, but we are going to hold you accountable. he's aware of that and he's ready to come in and just give everything he can to this team, which couldn't ask more of, right? Couldn't ask more of a guy of his talent. Um, Now, sticking on that pass protection point, the rest of our running backs in pass protection are kind of a question mark right now. Now Kenny Gainwell, who I'm kind of I'm pulling for a lot, and I really think he's going to be our running back too. He he's going to be our running back too. Let's keep it a buck. He's going to be our running back too, man. And if he wasn't, you would have heard rumors. You would have heard something by now. He's our running back too. Kenny Gainwell, whether you like it or not, they're going to give him the ball at certain points in some of these games. So the only thing is he's kind of undersized as far as like being able to be a running back who's solid in pass protection. Now, with that being said, he's not bad in pass protection. He'll pick up a blitz. He's not afraid to get his helmet into a linebacker, right? In the face of a linebacker. So Kenny Gainwell, that's one of the reasons why he's going to be running back too. I know everyone wants Will Shipley. Will Shipley is going to make the team just because we drafted him to be that guy. But the thing is, he's been struggling so much in pass protection this training camp. It kind of leads me to believe, like, all right, maybe in certain situations we can throw in Will Shipley. But if he wants to really be a part of this offense and to be like relied on in certain situations, especially with his skill set, he just seems to be the guy. Like, he's gonna be a playmaker. He has hands. He can catch passes out of the backfield. But if you're going to be on the field in those situations, you need to know how to pass block, man. You have to be able to be effective in pass protection. And if Will Shipley's struggling at that right now, that may be a problem for him as far as getting these snaps. So, snaps in an actual game, like a meaningful game. So that's something he's going to need to work on. So that's now what I'm going to have to look at. When I look at Will Shipley, I'm going to look at how is he picking up blitzes, because today he was getting whooped. Even we just signed him, Shaquille Quarterman. We just signed him, right? So I guess, and it wasn't on these 11-on-11 team drills, but just like these one-on-one, or technically one-on-one drills, Shaquille Quarterman's beating him, and they're just moving them. They're like these dude, like, doesn't matter who the linebacker is. Could be Dean, could be Quarterman, could be Van Sumeren, could be anyone, man. Like, he's just struggling to, and this is common in rookies, so it's not like this hot topic that we all need to be worried about. Oftentimes, rookies coming in the NFL realizing, I feel like the first thing you realize, especially from an offensive perspective, these linebackers, defensive ends, they're not playing over. They're athletes. They're freaks, man. This is not college. Like, a lot of these dudes, man, like they're running like what they could run like a 4.7, 4.6. Some of these guys, like they're no joke. Not only are they fast and athletic, they're big dudes, strong dudes, man. So that's common for a rookie running back to come in and kind of struggle in pass protection. But like, Will Shipley's really struggling right now. And if he can't get that together, don't expect him to get meaningful reps in games. Just, again, we got to keep it a buck, right? So I'm pulling for Will Shipley. I know a lot of people are pulling for Will Shipley just being a rookie, but let's keep it real, man. Like, better learn how to pick up a linebacker, man. Like, better be ready to, to not just get your pads on them, but like, you can't just be easily discarded like that. So something to keep your eye on. But I mean, that's really all we got out of this practice today. I mean, unfortunately, like I said, it was kind of a slow, quiet practice. A good practice, but just what else? Not really much to talk about as far as like these position battles is kind of it's kind of the same right now, and really, it's probably going to be like that until we play the Ravens Friday. And I, for whatever reason, I thought it was Thursday. I don't know why I was thinking that this whole time. I was 100% sure that this game was going to be on Thursday. I don't know why I thought that, but so Friday when we play the Ravens, we're going to get a better look. But tomorrow is going to be another full padded practice, and it will be our last full padded practice because we will have to travel. We're going to have to travel to Baltimore. Not a far travel, but either you're going to have to leave for Baltimore, and then the rest of that's just going to be closed walkthrough practices, and so we're really kind of just waiting for game day. And I guess we'll end on a note where, like, what are we looking for on game day? Will the starters play? I hope they do. I hope they do to some extent. More than just one. I wanted to get more than just one drive. I want, as far as like, just like the offense, our starters on offense, I like to see them get some, maybe not a full quarter, but a lot, like some of these guys, like they're maybe a full quarter, like just to get used to one, having a new coordinator, um, and just being able to like just get down, just communication, just getting in the flow of things, taking hits, like actual hits. But obviously we don't want anyone to get hurt. So like I would like, if in my opinion, maybe like three drives, pull them first game, and then we'll see what happens the next preseason game, right? So because we are going to have a joint practice, and I want people to keep that in mind. We're not going to be practicing um, just by like with against ourselves. So that's one thing to keep in mind going into that second preseason game. But this first one, I'd like to see our starters get meaningful reps. Who I really want to see play, guys who I want to see playing the whole game are guys who are kind of struggling in camp right now. Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean needs to play, and this is my opinion, but like I still think they will and should do this. Nakobe Dean needs to play the whole game. Dean needs to play the whole game because we need to really see what we have in him. We need a bigger sample size. He's my first guy who's like, get this guy in and do not pull him, and unless he's gasping for air. He needs to be in the whole game. Him, Anais Smith needs to be playing like practically the whole game, man. Like these guys are struggling. We haven't heard much from them, and I want to see who who these guys are for real. Like I'm hearing them struggling. I want to see I want Nakobe Dean to prove me wrong so bad. I'm sure a lot of you are saying the same thing, but I want Nakobe Dean to show me that I am wrong for checking out on him. But until I see that, man, it's like I don't believe in this guy, man. I don't believe he's someone we need to actually put real value in because he hasn't shown anything. So Nakobe Dean needs to play the whole game. Anais Smith, he struggled in camp, whether it's muffing punts, dropping passes, just not being effective in the passing game at all. And in his defense today, he ended the practice on a good note, caught the ball, had a nice run after catch with the second team offense, I believe, caught a ball from Pickett. And, he get nice run after catch, which is his game. And that's why I was so excited about him, is because what he can do after he gets the ball in his hands. So that's a guy who I really want to see. Nakobe Dean, I need to see a lot of. And aside from them, defensive end and outside linebackers are going to be that's who I'm going to have my eyes on as well, because they're actually going to be going against other tackles, not Lane Johnson, not Mailata. So I want to see, is it them just struggling against really good offensive tackles, or is it like maybe there is a cause for concern? I'm definitely leaning towards our offensive tackles are just that good, but that's who I'm going to be looking so I can confirm, like, all right, look, this is what I mean. Nothing to worry about. Let's see what Bryce Huff can do. Let's see what Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith. I want to see what these guys can can do, right? Like we know what Josh Sweat can do, but like against other tackles, and it'll just be interesting to see against going against a team that's not us. Um, and who else, man? I want to see this young cornerback group. I want to see how they perform because I feel like the offense has just been having their way all training camp, and so defense, I'm really gonna have a main focus on. On offense, I just want to see our starters get more. I don't think they want to wait around till the regular season to get actual meaningful time in. I think they're gonna want to play, and I think they should play at least 3 drives, like I said. And we'll see what happens. But injuries are scary in preseason. Like you don't want anyone to get injured in vain in a meaningless game, but at the same time, um, like we can't keep being overly protective, and we want to like hit the ground running here. We want to hit the ground running when we get to the regular season, especially if we're traveling all the way to Brazil and playing on a Friday. It's like let's get these guys going now. Like let's have them ready now. Get them real with the bullets are flying. Let's get them ready for that and prepare them for that now. So when we get to Brazil against a really good, promising young Green Bay Packers team, we're ready to go, right? Other than that, that's really all I got. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm leaving out, but I mean, as of right now, this is kind of where we're at. We're in that weird, we're in that weird limbo, and we're gonna feel like that after like the first preseason game too, where we're just like, all right, let's get on with it. But me personally, I'm locked in, and I want to see who's winning these battles. So I'm watching I'm watching every snap, trying to pay attention to everywhere I can, and let's see what they can do, man. That's all I got for us today, though. So tomorrow is going to be our last fully padded practice. So let's hope maybe we'll hear something. I hope, Paris Campbell can get right. I hope CJ Gardner's good. I really hope John Ross is okay. I'd love to see him get revitalize his career here. Other than that, though, that's all I got. Appreciate you all checking in, watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And we'll be back at it tomorrow. I'll still make another video tomorrow, whether it's quiet or not. You'll be hearing from me. That's all I got, though. I'm Wesley. Have a good rest of your days. I'm out. Thank you for tuning in. See you tomorrow.